Good morning. Welcome to another session of Canvas Live. Canvas Live sessions are presented by the Canvas community members or Instructure employees to help Canvas users improve and enhance their teaching and learning with Canvas. So thank you for being here. Today we're going to talk about Canvas and the Google Drive or the Google LTI that just launched. This is part of the Google LTI series that we have in Canvas Live. It's a 6-part series, so this is part 1. With us, my name is B. Rye. I'm a community manager here at Instructure, and we have Nick Demas and Kate McGee, who are also here with us to talk about this, this product, the LTI, the Google LTI. So let's just kind of preface this presentation with the definition of what an LTI is and how Google plays into it. Learning tools interoperability, it basically lets you integrate any type of external tool into Canvas. And so today's tool is obviously Google. And with the Google LTI, it'll allow users to leverage more Google tools inside of Canvas without having to leave Canvas. So today, what do you need to know about the Google LTI? It's easy to use, or why would you need the Google LTI as opposed to just using Google without it? It's easy to use within Canvas instead of switching back and forth and doing a lot of cutting and pasting and embedding kind of manually. This allows you to do that a little more seamlessly. And you'll be able to have a little more access to the different types of Google tools that are available, such as presentations and spreadsheets, in addition to documents that previously may not have been so easily integrated into Canvas. So I did want to talk a little bit about the difference between the Google LTI and how it works with single sign-on. A lot of schools that are using Google as their single sign-on into Canvas. The important thing that you want to know here is Canvas admins can set up Google as an authentication method so that users can sign into Canvas using their Google credentials, but the LTI integration itself doesn't support single sign-on. And basically what that means is after users log into Canvas using their Google account, when you integrate the LTI, they will also have to authenticate into the Google LTI as well. So that prompt will be shown in the demo today. So how do you use Google LTI? Well, there's basically 3 main steps. First, you have to add the Google LTI via EduApps. Then you configure it into your instance, and then you authorize access, which is what I was talking about earlier. And so we have Nick, who's a trainer at Instructure, and he's going to demo how to actually add the Google LTI into your Canvas instance. Nick?
All right, thanks, B-Right. Yes, my name is Nicholas Demas, and I will be walking you through some of the steps for adding Google LTI to your Canvas instance. So you're going to see a bit of screen flipping back and forth as I go from my slide presentation to an account that I run or work out of that doesn't have Google LTI in it. So first of all, there are a couple of places where we can add the Google LTI, this Google app. We can do it through the admin settings for those of us that are Canvas admins or have that privilege, or we can do it through one of our courses. And I recommend from the get-go that we pull this from the admin setting, that we do this together as an institution so that we're not erasing different instances or different pieces or different components that we've added through the classroom. So let's get there. Just a quick reminder of how to get into those admin settings. I'm going to jump into this account. We're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of this list, and we'll take a look at settings. Now from settings, we're going to go up into the app area as soon as this spins up. There we go. And from apps, we will be able to go in and indeed add this app. Now, I also encourage you as you jump into the app area that you also open the EduApp Center and take a look at Google LTI there, or the Google app there. So eduappcenter.com, and start your filtering by name. Pull in Google. The reason we want to jump here as well is we are going to be using some information to generate a secret and our key to actually get this into our Canvas instance. You can select that button here. And that will take us to the place where we can generate an LTI key and secret. I'm going to go back to my account. There we go. I'm also going to filter by name there and pull in Google Apps. And then, just like what we've done with everything else, bringing apps in, we're going to just add the app. And as you can see, we will need that consumer key and shared secret. I'm going to flip back over to that other screen and generate that key and the secret. So let's get the key first. And now let's grab the secret. Add app, and here we go. We now have Google Apps, part of our accounts. Again, just a reminder, we would need that key, the secret. We're pulling it from Google Apps. We've got that little blue button in the Edu App Center under the Google app where we'll be able to generate that key and secret. All right, as we place this too, it's going to show up in multiple places in Canvas. Let me get to the right screen. There we go. Well, first of all, we're going to be able to access Google through our course navigation menu. Courses will then have this Google Drive option where we'll be able to see the actual stuff that we've activated. After we've said, yes, we're going to go through the steps, we've authorized Google, we'll be able to see Google Drive on our course navigation menu. So we can then go in and take a look at documents, maybe add documents externally, so that we can then work through our course organization and take a look at what's going on with our Google in the classroom. From there, actually use Google Drive as a button that shows up in the rich content editor. Now, keep in mind, it's not always going to show up as that first option. It's going to show up under, probably most likely, under that caret, that pull-down menu for us. And the reason being, it's probably the 5th, 6th, 10th, 20th app that we've actually added to our Canvas instance. Now, where this is actually cool, and this is something that I've enjoyed about it, is we can go directly from this tab, the new Google LTI Drive or Google LTI tab, to be able to pull in embedded components to our course. Again, it saves you a few steps compared to the old method where you're copying an embed code and adding it to Google. And as such, being in the rich content editor, we can leverage that in multiple places. Because of Google Drive having more availability within Canvas, we can use Google Drive as an external tool so that we can post some documents or slides or sheets when we are working through the external tool. So as students progress through their modules, they'll be able to activate and interact with the pieces or the components that we do set through our modules. Similar to what we have currently with Google, where you can upload through Google into an assignment, Google Drive will also have an option on the assignment tab. So if students want to upload an assignment, they can do so using Google tab if you set up your assignment that way. So this really is doing what we already in place, but we're able to do just a little bit more through Google LTI in bringing in some of our information and submitting assignments for the classroom. And just like using the external tool with modules, and this is as a feature that I've enjoyed working with so far, is we're able to now with Google to set a submission type in an assignment as an external tool. This means we're creating a cloud assignment where we create the assignment, and then the students will get a copy of that assignment as, say, a worksheet that they can then fill out and submit on their own. This is going to be a different look and something that you probably haven't seen to this point as we're working through this. Just to give you a peek from a screenshot, yeah, as students reach that assignment in the page, instead of going through the normal submission process, there is now a submit button on the page that students can then use to submit their worksheet after they've filled out the information that they need to go through it. So again, we're using this to leverage what we are doing in the assignment page to add just a little bit more, to add a little bit more in how we can progress through the assignments. If we want to take a look at it from a practical standpoint, what this enables us to do is, instead of creating 30 copies of the same assignment, Google's going to be doing it for us instead. And Google Docs, Google Pieces can be rendered in the in Speedgrader. And so we can then look at our assignments through the Speedgrader. I do want to point out that, and we'll mention this in some of the best practices or tips that we've come up with so far regarding Google, that it makes sense if you are using or having students submit through Google into Canvas, going through the submissions, that you create the rubric first when you're doing the cloud assignments. And that's going to be the sample that you're seeing on the screen right now. All right, so let's just go in and take a look at adding an assignment, embedding a document, creating a submission. I'm going to be jumping back and forth between a couple views as I go through this. Now, I've already created my course shell and course information, and I also have my information for that assignment in place, rather than having you walk through this entire process with me. I also want to highlight quickly, there is the Google Drive option that is showing in the course navigation menu. So let's go to this cloud assignment. Just going to build it as a cloud assignment, and we will also embed a document from Google as part of this assignment. Now, just as a preface to this assignment that I'm creating, this is an assignment that I'm using in a different course that I'm working through with my coworkers, my fellow trainers, as we're working through mastery paths. So we're doing a piece on allegory, the book, The Crucible, and we're talking a little bit about communism in the United States. So just that, this is a preface to what you're seeing. We are going to bring in the Communist Manifesto using the rich content editor, using Google Apps. That point in the rich content editor, for me, it shows up as one of my additional apps in that pull-down menu. I'm going to select Google Apps. Notice as it goes in, we have embed and we have link options. We just want to provide the link. We can do so without worrying about having the embedding piece. However, I would say that when we do embed these components, they actually look pretty nice, look very nice. Just go into this folder I built my cloud assignments, and I'm going to pull from this, select that piece. I have a lovely check mark to the right of it. There, I can embed, retrieving content. And just like when we bring in videos, bring in YouTube videos, we're going to have that big gray block of information to work from. I'm not going to work through all of these components, but rather I'm going to focus on submission, and we are going to select external tool. I'm finding that external tool. I'm not going to bother typing and searching anything, typing to search for anything. All right, so let's select this Google Docs cloud assignment option. We're going to be pulling from the same folder, as you know, it made more sense to organize this for the assignment this way. Now, one thing that as we're working through this, we'll also mention this as a highlight or tip later on, is that it makes sense to make sure that the names that you use for your assignments in Canvas also match the names that you're using for your Google assignments or worksheets that you're building. Yeah, this is useful really so that we can avoid some of the confusion that sets in, or could set in. So this is the assignment I want to pose. My assignment is called 003 Cloud Assignment, so I'm going to place that there and then submit that. Select, and there it is. I've added a Google worksheet as an assignment. I have a due date today. Save and publish. And then momentarily, this thing will be live for my students to interact with. So from here, I'm just going to jump back out Well, let's take a look at this real quick. This is how it rendered as the assignment. There is the chunk of text that represents the Communist Manifesto. Looks great in Pages, and it comes in very nicely. Let's go over to the student view. Let me just do a refresh for my student. So I've logged in separately as a student, just so you're aware of what I'm working through here. I'm going to pull in this assignment. Here we are. We're able to take a look at the content that was rendered. It even provides a nice outline for it. Let me scroll down just a little bit. I'm moving just a little bit too fast for it, so we will hold off for just a second. Let's scroll down just a little bit. Now, here is the actual assignment that I submitted or set up as an external tool. Asked a simple question, is this Google LTI? Let me scroll back down. Is this Google LTI? Now I'm in this workspace in Canvas. Change the color on the text. Let's make it bold. In fact, let's turn this into a title. Go through the color change again. All right, now as a student, I've completed this worksheet. I can then submit this assignment. I have my timestamp for the submission of the assignment. And now I can go back and take a look at it back in my master course and back in my main account. Now I can then look at it under my name in grades in the gradebook. All right, there it is, Cloud Assignment 3. I'm just going to select that directly, take a look at more details in Speedgrader. Load, there we go. I love the panda on the unicycle. Now, just keep in mind, I did not create a rubric with this assignment, just so you didn't have to watch me go through the process of creating a rubric. But there's that assignment that the student submitted, Abraham Lincoln. Thank you very much for submitting this assignment piece. And as such, if I have built that rubric ahead of time, I can then interact with it, work through the rubric quickly, and I'll be able to work through the components and make it work well for me in this assignment. All right, so that's not all that we're going to be able to do with the Google LTI. We're going to be able to use it in collaborations to replace just using a Google Doc. When we add Google LTI or this Google app, we'll also be able to work through slides and sheets in addition to what we are seeing with Docs. So we've added 2 new components by being able to jump in and use Google LTI. And just think about how we can use this to spread out or augment this tool to further enhance what we are already doing in collaborations. I want to wrap this up by going just through a few tips that we've worked through, and also welcome discussions around these tips too. First of all, if you install this in your instance, as mentioned, make sure that if it's being installed at the account level, that we are deleting it at the course level. Otherwise, we will have 2 of everything. Now, something to consider is hiding Google LTI from the navigation menu for students. That's, again, consider it. It's not something that you have to abide by, but again, consider. Now, be consistent with your project names when going between Google and Canvas assignments. You want to be able to match your assignments in the future as you carry this information down the road and reuse these Google assignments. So make sure those naming conventions are in place and that we edit those names as needed. Now, since we're adding a little bit more, let's try leveraging these different tools. Let's do a little bit more with slides. Let's try to do a little bit more with sheets based on what we're doing in the coursework. I'm encouraging you to think a little bit outside the box when you are building your assignments in the future, or even just using content pages to send out content. And finally, for cloud assignments, make sure that you build your rubric first. We're using, again, a tool, therefore we need to build that rubric first if we want to use that rubric in Speedgrader. All right, so we just covered a lot of information there, and I noticed it looked pretty active in the chat area, so thanks for taking part in that. I'm going to turn it back over to B-Rai. It's going to give us a little more details about the series going down the road.
Thanks, Nick. Before we talk about the upcoming series, I wanted to open it up for any comments that both Nick and Kate want to address sort of at this time, that maybe some follow-ups to the chat. Kate, why don't you go ahead and just kind of tell us where your any feedback that you may have at this point? That would be great.
Yeah, thanks, B-Rai. Yeah, great to see your questions. Certainly, as we have this public beta going out, we're looking for how we want to improve this and what's going to have the biggest impact for our users. So I love seeing the questions and concerns that you guys have so that we can figure out how to best improve the product. So interesting to see questions around, a lot of questions around Crocodoc and being able to annotate on these documents. Yeah, we have a lot of users who love using Crocodoc to mark up their students' documents. That's something that we're actively looking at, how to bring the document in. One thing we can't do is bring it in as the Google preview, and we've gotten a lot of questions around that previously. One of the reasons being is that if we bring it in as the Google document previewer, what happens is that a student can then come in and continue to update it and past the time in which it's been submitted for the teacher to grade. So, and we know that those aren't necessarily concurrent. As soon as it's done, that a teacher's going in there and immediately grading. So we do need to convert the document so that it's kind of in a static form. But great to hear that you guys would like to have it in Crocodocs, and we can certainly look at how to enable Crocodocs to annotate those documents up, since if it comes just into Box, you can't see it. So great to hear that. We got a question about what does public beta mean, and that's a great question. We should talk about that for a second. So in software, we have a couple different ways in which we will release a product. So for example, prior to this, we had a private beta, and a private beta is where we ask a few different customers to try out the product and give us some feedback and try some testing to help us identify bugs and rough areas. And so that's always really helpful. And then we move it into, from there we move it into what's called a public beta. Public beta allows us to have all of our customers get on it, and then we really are testing its performance and further smoothing out the product. So we got some questions about, the search, and right now it's kind of specific to the folder that you're in, as opposed to what's called recursive, which allows it to search the entire Google Drive. So that's a great piece of feedback and something that I think would be a fantastic improvement for the product. So hopefully that helped answer that question about what public beta means. So yeah, we'll take that feedback, and then once we've had time to smooth out the product, address bugs, address rough spots that we've identified, we will then move it into a, this is what we call general accessibility. So everybody has, or general access, everybody will be able to access it.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks, Kate. One question I think would be great if Nick could address. I know that when you were creating an assignment and added a rubric, we had a question about how to add the rubric to the assignment that was being created for a cloud assignment. So if you could address that, that would be great.
Sure. So as I jumped into the assignment, when I wanted to go through an assignment creation, I just, as I set up the assignment page, I made sure that I first built the rubric, and then I went into the assignment in order to edit that assignment. So I'm just going to show it rather than talk about it. I'm doing it just a little bit differently now, plus assignment. Yeah, modules. I always skip around between modules and building it differently like that, so I apologize about that. Go through. we go in and we arrive at the assignment page. We want to first build the rubric by, again, accessing through modules, build it through modules rather than going directly from assignments. So don't make the mistake I just made. But then build your rubric first using that plus rubric option. Go through, build your rubric, set your points, etc. And then make sure to then go in and edit your assignment afterward. So it's kind of, for me, this is a little bit different than the process I normally go through. I'm usually in editing the actual assignment first, then creating the rubric second. It said create the rubric first and then the assignment second, making sure to then pull in Google Docs as you set that up. All right, so I'll just go back to that shared screen. Is that good, B-Ray?
Yep, that's perfect.
All right.
Okay, so I know that we are about 4 minutes left here, so we want to just make sure we're continuing to address some of the questions that come up. And as you're posting your questions, please keep in mind this is the first of 6, so we will take every one of these and kind of do a deep dive and compare the differences between kind of with the LTI and without the LTI, so you can kind of see where the workflow could change for you when you're developing and designing your courses. So please take a look at that. If you go to live.canvaslms.com, excuse me, you will be able to see the list of other upcoming Google LTI sessions. We're also looking to put a panel discussion together at the second week of April. So once you've had an opportunity for about 4 months or so, 3 months or so to really play with the application, we want to put together a panel of users from the admins as well as teachers and instructional designers so that you can give us some feedback as well as share some tips and tricks on how to best leverage the LTI as we're evolving the app. So if you're interested in participating in that panel discussion ahead of time, please feel free to contact me as well. With that said, once again, we just wanted to say thank you to Nick for doing the demo and explaining a little bit of an overview of the LTI. And thanks again, Kate, for being here to let us kind of stay up to date with the product development side of the LTI. We want to encourage everybody who has been at this session to participate in Canvas Live by at least following the space so that you are up to date with and are notified with any new sessions that come up. We encourage you to join the Canvas Live user group, which is basically the place where members get together to flesh out some ideas and then present to the community. And that's where we put in some other information about what types of panel discussions we're putting together and if you're interested in participating. And of course, we have our Canvas chat rooms. And so if you want to connect with us in real time with other members of the community, that's where we're having sort of ongoing discussions about all sorts of things. And so that information is also in the Canvas Live space as well. We have come to the end of our session. What I'd like to do is go ahead and put the link here in the chat of where we would like to continue this conversation under the release notes, where this particular conversation sort of has started about the different questions about the tool itself, and we will be monitoring those questions there. Is there anything else, Nick, that you saw in the chat that you thought might be good to address here?
As I've looked through it, I feel like Kate actually, and you did a great job addressing a lot of those questions.
Great. And Kate, anything to add before we close off?
No, just want to thank everybody for providing their feedback. That always helps us develop better products for you. Excited to see how you use it and how we can continue to make great software for you. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll hope to see you in a future Canvas Live session. Have a great morning and a great weekend.